All right, Ed, here we are. We're starting the first chapter of your book, Parenting with an Attitude, 21 Questions Successful Parents Ask Themselves. Question number 1, what do my kids hear me say about them? What do you want, what brought you to have this be the first kind of opening salvo of these questions?
Well, I think it's the first one because it's such a fundamental question I think we need to ask ourselves. What lies behind that, Keith, is my thought that every kid that's come down the pike, including you and me, we weren't born with the brain we have now. We were born really with more of a sponge-like brain that didn't have the ability to think or reason or question or challenge. And granted, that changes pretty quickly when kids start to question and challenge. But their first ability is just simply to say, so that's who I am. So that's what's expected. And then our tendency, when we have gathered all that stuff that we've heard from other people, the positive as well as the negative, we tend to set out in life to either live up to or down to what we heard early on in our life. Now, certainly that can be changed, but in order to give a kid a really good start, we need to be aware of the attitude we have behind what we say to them, because that's what they're going to imprint and live up or down to. If a little kid hears consistently, you are so much fun to be with, they're not going to stop and think and decide to see, is that true or not? They're going to, oh, so that's who I am. And then they're going to set out to be a fun person to be with. If they hear consistently, let me do that, can't you do it right? Let me get it done so we can get it done quickly. And I guess I'm kind of inept. I guess I really don't know what I'm doing, as opposed to the more positive messages. I use, much to the consternation of parents at times, the word brainwashing. We are brainwashed early on in terms of how we view and value ourselves. And so I start with that one because it's really fundamental to all the other 20 questions that I ask in the book.
Because the question is about what do the kids hear me say, but really it's a reflection of you as a parent. What did you take in as a kid? How did you get your identity shaped and formed? Because you're just by default setting, you're passing that on to your kids.
Yeah.
So that feels super important, like you said.
Yeah. And at the end of each one of the chapters, the first question is, for instance, with this one, it would be something to the effect, what did you as a parent hear your parents say about you? And so it gives the reader the opportunity to kind of see, what am I passing on? And if there are negatives, how can I trim that back and turn those negatives into positives?
Right, because parenting is this mirror that's held up to all of us as parents.
Yeah.
Right, and that mirror is saying, what did I hear as a kid that I may be passing down, probably maybe even unknowingly or unconsciously.
Yeah. And I think a mistake oftentimes that parents will make is to assume that because my kid is over there playing with their toys, their blocks, they aren't absorbing what we are saying between husband and wife, or between women friends or whatever. Oh yeah, he's really athletic, but he's not that smart. Be careful, because their antenna is up and they're hearing what you have to say about them. And that can work in a positive way too, to talk to your friend or your spouse about how, man, Johnny really knows what he's doing when it comes to arithmetic or whatever. Oh, so that's who I am. And again, that changes fairly quickly as they get older, and so we're working with a pretty small framework of time where eventually they're going to begin to say, no, wait a minute, what do I think? And we'll get into that in terms of the difference between rebellion and challenging, and there is a big difference there. Important to let the kid challenge and not see that as rebellion, because we want them to think for themselves, but that'll be in another chapter.
Yeah, as you were talking, what really came to mind was when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I had started playing baseball. in a small country town. And I remember just distinctly that someone came up to me and was talking to my mom saying, "Oh, he's so small. He's such a little guy." And at the time, there was the Hershey's Kisses commercial with a little jingle about, big things come in small packages. And that's how my mom responded to this woman was, yeah, he's small, but big things come in small packages.
Yeah.
And that was
That stuck
forever
with me.
ago, but it's still with me, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that is right, that we plant
Yeah.
these positive things into our kids. But I think you're right.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. My kids are still listening. They're eavesdropping in on conversations I'm having with others.
Yeah. So the message in this first chapter is intentionalize what you have to say about your kids, because it's really going to shape and influence the imprint of their brain and could affect them for the rest of their lives.
Great. Well, I look forward to getting into the second question, and that is, do I respect my kids?
Ah, yes.
For next time.
Good.